Okay, yes, this one is the two subtopics on this, the background to the crisis, the Bougainvillea crisis and its political implications, or how the Bougainvillea crisis started and developed. We saw that last week. These are the two subtopics we saw last week. And for this week, the two lessons, today and tomorrow, we cover Sandline contract crisis and autonomy and senior crisis. I think these two periods. So your first period is 9 to 9:30. We got for 10 minutes break, 9:45 until another session until 10:15. To be the end of the second session for history. So we'll study these two topics: the Sandline crisis and autonomy and referendum of Bougainvillea. Okay. Let's proceed to the next. Let's do this. Yes. Okay. Sandline, yeah, subtopic 3, Sandline affair. With the government of Australia declined to provide direct military support and advocate a political solution of the conflict. At that time, the Prime Minister was Sir Julius Chen. What's the political party that Sir Julius Chen is in? Or he found the political party. What's the name of the political party? Saga? The political party that Julius Chen formed. What's the name of the party? Irene?
Mister, I forgot.
Okay, the party that he formed was that party PPP. What's the name? What's the PPP initial stands for? People's
Progress Party.
Party, yeah, People's Progress Party. So he was in power when the Bougainvillea crisis started and developed. So he wanted to take a shortcut by stopping the BRA, Bougainvillea crisis, by asking Australia to come and intervene to Papua New Guinea's civil crisis. But the Australian government was reluctant to provide military support. And so Julius Chen began to look elsewhere. And that's where he decided to contract Sandline. Affair began in March 1996. So contract with the government of Papua New Guinea, attempt to hire mercenaries from Sandline Internationals. Mercenaries are ex-soldiers, ex-war veterans with vast experience to fight any crisis, any revolution, any war. So mercenaries. That's how Julius Chen engaged and taking Sandline International. Here's the next one. Okay, what is Sandline International? Sandline International is a London-based private military company that in turn employed the South African military contractor executive outcomes. It is international, Sandline International, those war veterans, civil war veterans, or those who fought in wars and civil wars were recruited and formed this organizations called International, Sandline International. It's like they're founded in 1995. The type of business they do is a private military security firm, but very experienced. And I provide people are found in this international, Sandline International. The mercenaries means go out and kill and destroy for for the purpose objective that the government or whatever group is assigned for them to go for that purpose. And however, in 2004, the operation of Sandline ceased to exist. Its operations in the world, or most of the countries in the world. Any questions? Let's see the next slide. Okay, Julius Chen decided that his best chance to recapture the Panguna mine was with the Sandline masonry. So, because at that time, Papua New Guinea's national revenue, the main revenue was from the Panguna mine. Panguna mine was the world's largest open cast copper mine in the world. So therefore, as the government need to decide to put an end to the crisis, if possible, capture or kill all the BRA elements and take the money back, and the mining operation should go ahead and provide revenue for the national government. So therefore, it's what got to do, train, engage Sandline mercenaries. Okay, a contract, the Sandline mercenary contract was signed on the 31st January 1997, with his chief executive of Sandline International was Tim Spicer. So they signed an agreement. Okay, let's see what the protocol of the agreement. The conditions of the contract that was signed, PNC government signed for $30 million US, $30 million US at the time, and a share in the Panguna mine. So the contract was, the government of Papua New Guinea signed that contract, saying, okay, we'll give you 30 million for engaging, $30 million US for engaging Sandline International, and after you accomplish your job successfully by putting end to the conflict, by capturing or killing all the BRI elements, the rebel groups, then you will have a share in the Panguna mine. And that was agreement signed between the government of Papua New Guinea under Julius Chen, and the Sandline International chief executive was Tim Spicer. Okay. The Sandline International arrived in Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea on 7th February 1997. Let's continue what the results. However, news of international iron mercenaries are well trained people who come to capture, to kill, destroy in good numbers. So the main intention of Julius Chen was to hire mercenaries to kill the BRA and put an end to the Bougainvillea crisis. Was leaked to the Australian press, and international condemnation followed. So Australia and other international organizations and countries was not happy with our government at that time for engaging Sandline International to come to the civil war in Bougainvillea. Although initially supportive, at that time the Army Commander of PNC Defense Force was Brigadier General Jerry Singrock. He first initially was sent to negotiate with the government representative for the Sandline to come in, but later he opposed the idea of taking Sandline. Maybe he saw the conditions and he saw what was signed, like 30 million Canadian so much. The 30 million Canadian million US dollars supposed to be used for defense, to equip defense, train defense, and buy equipment for our own Papua New Guineans army to go to Bougainvillea to capture, kill, or to put an end to the conflict in Bougainvillea. Maybe that was the main idea where Jerry Singrock went against the idea of bringing Sandline International. In the resulting saga, Papua New Guinea came close to our military coup. So Jerry Singrok, with this group of soldiers against those who were loyal to the government under Julius Chen. With the parliament surrounded by demonstrators and many military professionals, when the parliament said, the Australian government placed pressure on Papua New Guinea to terminate the contract with Sandline and intercept the heavy equipment that was being flown in for the mercenaries. At the time, the government already gave her half of the money. After the contract, after the operations, they should be given half the money and as well as their share in the Bougainvillea copper. So the Australian government pressurized the Papua New government, saying, hey, why do you engage those killers, the mercenaries, Sandline International? That was the event, so it pressurized the government for it not to entertain the Sandline mercenaries. See, the Prime Minister at that time, the Prime Minister and National Executive Council upon Jerry Singrok, they suspended Jerry Singrok as the Army commander and replaced him with somebody else, a Navy commander, because he went against the government's decision of bringing Sandline. So when you go against the legitimate authority or your boss, and it is called insubordination. You're insubordination against the government. So in that incident, Jerry Singrok was sidelined. He was removed as army commander because he doesn't want to follow directives of the government of the day. And then some faction of the army, university students, church groups, NGOs, non-government organizations, public at large protests for a month for the removal of that Sandline International. It was in Port Moresby, there was protests and protests against the coming in of the government engaged in the Sandline International. So there was anarchy in Port Moresby City. I think you watched the movie on the Sandline crisis, the documentary. I think we will go through it as we go through. From public pressure, the Prime Minister, Julius Chen, canceled the Sandline International and stepped down as the Prime Minister. He resigned as the Prime Minister, stepped down because of the pressure of the army and the general public at large, and allowed an inquiry into the adding of the issue of the Sandline crisis. Irene and Sega, only you two online?
No, mister.
Come in again?
Some others joined as well.
Oh, some others joined, okay, I cannot.
Yeah.
Great. So, okay, let's go through this documentary. Good. Are you able to see this one?
Yes.
That was people
No, Mr.
protest to get rid of the Sandline International, the Sandline missionaries. Okay.
Police opened fire with tear gas and live ammunition. Actions of a few cool-headed soldiers stopped them, and with it, the democracy they'd sworn to two-pronged strategy. Operation Rouse and Quick, to expel the mercenaries hired by Prime Minister Sir Julius Chan.
The name of the operation was Operation Rouse and Quick, in order to remove the Sandline international officials.
To end the war on Bougainvillea, and a second campaign, using the media to capture community support by tapping into a popular cause, demanding an end to political corruption.
It is therefore only logical that I cannot back down on the call for this Prime Minister and the ministers who are implicated to resign from their ministerial offices.
Sir Julius responds by sacking his military chief.
Insubordination cannot be tolerated. The government has acted. The Executive Council has decided that he should be removed. And we have appointed Mr. Alfred Icon, and he has been supported by the ranks and files of the Defence Force.
But for the troops, Colonel Icon symbolises the corruption they so despise. He oversaw a contract awarded to a Malaysian company to build these barracks. 2 days after his appointment, soldiers torched the Colonel's car outside the new barracks, claiming the vehicle was a gift from the militaries.
These are the soldiers, some are loyal to J.B. Singarok, and those loyal to the new commander and that appointed by the government. Scenario.
From Melbourne back to I think this would
mercenaries
has been used to
helicopter gunships. He knew they were going into action.
For us, we knew that if somebody said that they were here for non-combat roles, we sort of questioned it because we knew we wouldn't be able to train within a short period to take over from them to do the job. So we knew they were going to go with us, whatever happens. Then we'll still be out there because, I mean, for me to operate this aircraft or a gunship within 3 weeks, this wasn't possible. It wasn't possible.
Become totally useless. That's what they really did here. This force must continue to protect the sovereignty and defend its people, right?
Gone was the chaos of previous days. In its place, a large disciplined force united behind its sacked commander.
I am no Messiah. I am only an instrument. I humble myself. I don't deserve to get this glory. But I cannot put up with corruption, with decisions that does not reflect the people's needs.
Not the civilian government.
Interest and for the good, and in order to diffuse various.
That's the formality of how Julius Train was. He resigned or stepped aside as the prime minister after the pressure from public for hiring mercenary, Sandline mercenary into Papua New Guinea.
Something that I consider to be a little bit explosive outside. I myself will step aside.
People were celebrating outside the Parliament House when the Prime Minister stepped aside.
We will never ever take over. I want Australians to understand that democracy will prevail in this part of the region. Democracy will stay. What I have done, Australia, is that I have saved democracy. I have protected the constitution of this country.
is that in attempting to defend the Constitution during the Bougainvillea offensive, this rebellion has been relatively peaceful.
Okay. Okay, are you there, guys? After the Sandline incident, there was some positive developments. The Sandline missionary left, so Jerry Singarok and General Papua New Guineans would pressure the government, and the government decided to cancel the Sandline International contract, and they left, and the Prime Minister Julia Chain also resigned, and there was inquiry to how they decide to bring the Sandline mercenary into Papua New Guinea. That's how the Sandline crisis took place. Yeah, so that's maybe. Okay, after the Sandline incident, there was some positive developments in Bougainvillea. In 1998, a ceasefire organized by New Zealand government for PNG government and representative of BRA rebel groups to sign a ceasefire and come to normalcy. There was normalcy restored in Bougainvillea, and in between 2000 and 2005, Bougainvillea prepared to get autonomy from PNG. Autonomy is like different from provincial government system we have in Papua New Guinea. So we come to the autonomy and the provincial government system after the break. So it is 1 minute to 9:30. So we have a break, 10 minutes break, and we come back at 9:45, then 15 minutes break. 9:45, we start our second session. Okay, students, any questions? Let's see, 1 minute question.
Mr.
Yes, I mean.
Who replaced Jerry Singarok as the commander, and in what year was this?
Good. It was still in year 1997, and an Army Navy by the name of Alfred. Alfred, for the second name, it was announced in the documentary. So when I give you a documentary, when you come next week, we should know the full name. But the first name is Commander Alfred.
Thank you, Mr.
I think any more questions? Okay, we take a 15 minutes break and we come back at 9:45.